Holiday depression is a real thing. Maybe you know why the holidays bring depression to the surface. Maybe it's just kind of like a cloud over you and you don't really know why. I am going to teach you 3 words to hold on to during this holiday season to really combat or work through, overcome these symptoms of depression. Now, I'll talk about at the end if this is clinical depression. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about holiday depression that maybe is just sadness, maybe is just kind of impeding your joy, but it's not causing functional impairment. My name's Christy Bundakumar. I'm a psychiatric nurse practitioner with over 20 years of clinical experience. I help people with depression, clinical depression, every day. And I've personally struggled with depression even before I had a reason to be depressed. And if you know my story, I have a reason to be depressed. I have lost 3 children, and most recently my husband. This will be my first holiday season without my husband. And I even get kind of a knot in my throat as I tell you that. But that's okay. It's okay to cry. It's okay to grieve. So I think coming into the holiday season, whether you know why you're depressed or you don't know why you're depressed, it's one of 3 things. It's either grief. Now, I've told you my story of this intense grief, but that's not to minimize your grief. Maybe you're recently divorced and you have to split your children with your ex. Maybe you lost your grandmother this year. Maybe you're experiencing the holidays for the first time without someone you love. And maybe it's just because they're deployed in the military or just can't come home for the holiday. Like, grief is everywhere. We all experience grief. And if we don't acknowledge it and kind of work through that grief, then it can manifest as depression. Another thing that is big in the holidays is expectations. There's an expectation to enjoy time with your family. Maybe you're really struggling with decisions that your family members are making. And that could be a combination of grief and expectations. Expectations to go and spend time with people that maybe you're not happy with, or maybe they've hurt your feelings, or maybe they've made choices. I have a family member who is an addict. And the last Thanksgiving that he spent with the family was very dramatic and ugly, and we don't want that again. And so then there's guilt of not inviting him. It's complicated, and the expectations around the holidays is complicated. So I want you to think about with yourself and how you're feeling right now coming into the holidays. Do you have grief? Do you need to acknowledge some grief? Are there expectations that you don't feel comfortable with or that are mixed up in that grief? Just write them down. Just get it out on paper, because acknowledging these things rather than just pushing through the holidays is going to help you be more authentic in your relationships. I told you I lost 3 children, and I lost a son in a drowning accident almost 20 years ago. My son Reggie died in 2016, and between my son Reggie's death and my daughter Maya's death, I pushed through the holidays with joy and cheer because I wanted my daughter to experience the joy of the holidays. But it was really, really hard for me because I was feeling the weight of that grief combined with the expectation to be happy and to be joyous. And I proudly did that for my daughter. My son died on Halloween. I hate Halloween, but I would have a Halloween party for the sake of my daughter every year. And I would have big Christmases. And then my daughter died in her sleep 10 days before Christmas. I didn't celebrate anything for a couple years. Like, balancing the weight of the grief and the expectations. But if you know me and you follow me, you know that I challenge myself all the time, and I challenge people that I'm trying to help. And so each year I try to do a little more. So my daughter passed away in 2021, and I didn't do Christmas for a couple years. Last year, I did a Christmas party on December 14th, which is when she passed. And this year, I'm gonna try to go all in. I'm gonna have a party on the 14th. I'm going to do little things throughout December, and I'm gonna have another party on Christmas Eve. It's super important for me because I've always loved Christmas, and my kids loved Christmas. But I've had to work through some things, and this year is going to be hard. Every year is hard. I just got a text this morning from one of my friends who lost her son in a drunk driving accident on December 21st. Can you imagine how difficult Christmas is for her? There is stories like that everywhere. It's hard. I have to take a breath. So the 3 words I have for you and for me, right? As I teach, it's the way I digest and make sure that I am living this, that I am practicing this. The first is gratitude. And I know how hard gratitude is. I know that the word gratitude can actually be a trigger. Sometimes I want to say to people who have had a protected, privileged life, when they tell me to be grateful, I want to tell them off. So I understand that that word doesn't sit well in the midst of pain, but I want you to try. I want you to try to find things to be grateful for. I have a handful of really, really close friends that I love dearly, that love me dearly, that I am connected with. I have a best friend who I get to work with and is my sister. I am grateful for that. I have nieces and nephews and grandchildren. And although sometimes balancing the grief and expectations of how to be a good grandma in the midst of my grief is a conflict, right? But I am grateful. And I'm going to try to show up for my grandkids, my nieces and nephews for the holiday season. That's my choice. And this is what we talk about in the Mentally Strong Method, is acknowledging the pain, but don't allow it to be a cancer inside of you. Make choices to find gratitude, because gratitude is where the joy is. I know it's hard. Just don't give up on trying. So the first word is gratitude. The second word is gentle. These are all 3 G words. The second word is gentle. I want you to be gentle with yourself. The pain that you are feeling is real. The pain that you are feeling will likely be there forever. But if you've watched some of my other videos, you know that the intensity and frequency in which you have to feel that pain, if you are doing the process correctly, should decrease over time. But the reality is the holidays are always going to bring it to the surface. The anniversary of my children's death and the holidays are all wrapped in together. And so this is a difficult time. But I can see year after year how the intensity of the pain is decreasing, and I can expect a little more from myself. But I want you to be gentle with yourself. So I want you to find gratitude, and I want you to be gentle with yourself. So gentle means I allow myself to feel the pain, but I softly challenge myself. I allow myself to feel the pain. I softly challenge myself. Gentle also means being nice the way you talk to yourself, right? Gratitude, the opposite of gratitude is negative thoughts. The opposite of gentle is talking bad about yourself. And so if you are going to be grateful and gentle at the same time, not, oh, you should be grateful all the time and you shouldn't feel this pain, that's not gentle. That is not gentle. The third word is grace. Give yourself grace and give other people grace. So going into the holiday season, maybe there's going to be people that are at the table or at the events that you need to give a little grace to. Maybe you need to give a little grace to yourself in how much you can show up. I often get a lot of mothers who have lost a child and they still have young children at home. And then there's this guilt. Guilt is the opposite of grace, right? Guilt that you can't show up 100% this Christmas. How about you work through some of that pain, challenge yourself, gently challenge yourself a little bit this year, and maybe you can show up a little more next year. 3 words I want you to continue to remember, meditate on throughout the holiday season: gratitude, gentle with yourself and others, and grace for yourself and others. We can do this regardless of your pain and depression coming into this holiday season. You can do this. You can find some gratitude. You can be gentle, and you can give yourself and others grace. If you want more information about my story or keep watching, watch my personal story of traumatic grief. And there's so much free content here about how to actually show up and work through this pain and find joy.